So intertwingularity. Everything is deeply intertwingled, which is a portmanteau of intertwined and intermingled. Portmanteau being a neologism of Lewis Carroll. And the other part of the talk, title I got from When Worlds Collide, which is the film in my entire life that moved me the most. When Worlds Collide, I think 1952 or 3, 1, 2, 3. It was produced by George Powell, a Czech producer who previously did The Puppetoons. Then he did Destination Moon, which was a surprise hit, and so he did When Worlds Collide. And the story of When Worlds Collide is this. Scientists see coming 2 mighty planets. They are named, for no reason that's explained, Belus and Zyra. And Belus will go past the Earth, causing great tidal waves and eruption. Then Zyra will dead-on smash us to pieces. What to do? We must get a breeding population off the Earth before Zyra time. And in this movie, the calendar is a character. So you turn, the page turns and says, 47 days to Belus, 102 days to Zyra. And finally we get to the calendar page that says, Belus. And we see the great tidal waves, and there's a wonderful scene where they flooded Times Square. And the way this was done was that they built a Times Square about the size of this building, of black blocks, and they flooded it in slow motion, and then they created mats that showed the water going around the real buildings, and it was wonderful for that day. But I accepted the agenda of this movie. We really have to get a breeding population off the Earth because the chances of the survival of this planet are not that great. And Zyra is coming, whatever it is. So, now that Hawking has embraced the same objective, we're on the same page about that. I don't know if it'll ever happen. With the present NASA administration, it certainly won't. But the new space guys are dot-com zillionaires who are building their own rocket ships, and that may lead somewhere. Turn the page. Note-taking. I started serious note-taking in 1957. Why? Because I wanted to keep track of things. There were so many interesting things to keep track of, and if you don't write it down, it's gone, whatever it was. And so many people are full of vague recollections of ideas and factoids that they kind of believe in, and that's nice, and I wanted to do better. And so I started taking notes on file cards, and after I got into computers, by 1962, damn it, I wanted a machine that would allow me to type with one hand wherever I went. And we still don't have it. The result is that I have perhaps 1 million or more separate notes, all on paper of one kind and another, stored in different states and countries. And I don't like it. Oops. I seem to have gotten the pages in the wrong order. That is something. Oh no. Okay. Yes, they're in the wrong order. I'm going to talk about education because it's so relevant to the issue of note-taking. Maybe I can wing it. Anyway. So note-taking is like pounding stakes in the ground. When you write something down, it gives you a point of remembrance. When you write something else down, it gives you something else to remember about a subject. And gradually, you accumulate, obviously not thorough, obviously not powerful, but knowledge that begins to be a start about things. I always feel that when I tell an expert something he doesn't know about in his own field, that's something. It's happened a few times, even though my knowledge is very spotty in that. Now, note-taking has, however, beaten my life And in my darkest moments of the 1970s and 80s, I thought, well, if I die and don't get anything written, at least it can be sorted out by posterity, like the notes of Wittgenstein and Charles Sanders Peirce. But the real issue is to put it all together. And this is relative to education. Education is a system of ruining subjects for you, and the last subject to be ruined determines your profession. Yet, it would be easy to fix education. Very easy to fix education. The only problem is you could not fix education with the existing curricula, the existing buildings, the existing tests, and the existing people. So unfortunately, that's a catch-22. How to actually do it, I don't know. But what I propose is to start a high school according to certain principles. You see, students are prisoners. Students are prisoners trapped in a system of requirements and obligations. What we need to do is turn education into something much more like shopping. You see, shopping is often derided, but it is a form of research. Yes? You are finding out what is possible for your life. You are imagining different futures in which you own this or buy that or rent that. It could be skis, it could be a car, it could be education, but it could be a course you might take. But all of these are the choices you're considering as you amble through the mall. And while it's enjoyable, it's also exhausting. Now, we don't honor this enough. And we don't recognize how relevant this is to the way we should be able to study. You should be able, as a consumer of education, not a prisoner, to decide day by day what next to do in a large lattice of possibilities which can be tested and which achievements can be honored. But no one has taken this approach. Let's look at the extreme. History. What is the right order in which to study history? You say. You start at the beginning, you start at the end, you start in the middle. Doesn't matter. And yet, in every curriculum in the world, they tell you what order to study history, and who to take it from, and what time of day. Now, part of this is that it's in order to keep the people employed, and to justify the buildings, and other things that are not really justifiable. So the high school I would put together would be one in which you're given a Chinese menu, 2 from column A, 5 from column B, of subjects you're supposed to learn, and then given resources to choose how and when you will learn it. The examination will be given whenever you go to Kinko's. Kinko's is a chain of copy services, some of which are open all night. And so now we've taken care of the exam problem. And in fact, it turns out, it will turn out, I believe, that education will be provided on a very different basis. Well, the high schools, of course, since it would be a, quote, remedial high school, anything goes, but it would be able to demonstrate the principles I speak of. So instead of a curriculum, a cafeteria.